folks. Mark with the North Florida Bicycle Club, and today's topic is, does wind matter? Now, right now you're probably going, well, you idiot. Of course wind matters. And wind matters, it depends upon the wind speed, the direction. Is it in your face? Is it quartering? Is it on your shoulder? What about your route? A straight route versus a curvy route? There's a lot of factors in that. So obviously the wind matters, but how much does it matter? I think one of the biggest reasons it matters is because we are so focused on what our speed is, because it's pretty much everybody can tell what their speed is. We have some people without a speedometer, but most people can tell their speed is, but speed's just a terrible indicator of how hard you're working. And what happens is we're willing to accept the great lack of work that we do with the wind, but then we want to complain about the tailwind, or excuse me, the headwind, rather than you've got to adjust for that headwind if you want to keep your effort the same. So I'm going to take you down A1A. If you haven't been on A1A, it's pretty straight, at least this section of A1A, and it's relatively the same section. What I mean by the same section is I've got about a 5-mile segment, because that's how Garmin does its laps, going south with a tailwind, and I've got that same, roughly the same 5-mile segment going back, meaning all the elevation would be the same. According to the weather forecast, the wind speed was about the same. Now, I think the wind speed they gave us at 3 miles per hour was light. I think it was stronger than that. It's usually a little bit stronger than that right along the coast, but I don't think there was much difference in the wind, and sometimes you will see that. So let's take a look at the stats. So going down with the tailwind, our average speed was 22.4 miles per hour, which is faster than the advertised pace of the group, but you got this nice tailwind behind you. I said it set a 3 mile per hour tailwind. I think it was a little bit stronger than that. Now, the watts I was putting out on my power meter was 153, which is actually fairly low if you don't know much about watts. Watts are kind of individual to a person, so you can't compare one person's watts to another. But for me, 153, and my heart rate was only 113, which is a pretty low heart rate for me, almost bordering on a recovery zone heart rate for me, even though it's 22.4 miles per hour. On the way back, 22.1 miles per hour, just a touch slower. That same wind, again, I think it was probably a little stiffer than 3, 224 watts on average, significantly harder effort. Heart rate, 145, significantly harder effort, even though the pace was kind of relatively the same. I will say it was a different group. There was a couple fewer people in the group on the way back, and so that makes a little bit of difference too, fewer people to block the wind. So I mentioned the power, the 153 and the 224. What does that mean? I'll give you another frame of reference behind that. You can take the power that you put in, and there are charts that will give you usually a really big range for how long the typical person is able to hold that. Now, they're very general because it varies so much by person. Those charts don't know what your overall fitness level is and what you're doing, but it's a frame of reference. So at 153 watts, those charts say that I could do that for 2.5 hours to all day long. That's a pretty long time. They're saying at that effort, you might be able to go, if you're in good shape, all day doing that. The 224, they're saying that's 10 minutes to 1 hour. So I go from the high end of all day to, yeah, you can maybe do that an hour, maybe 75 minutes, and you're toast. So that kind of shows that effort was significantly different. So what happens on the way back, everybody wants to try and hold as much of the pace as they can. In this case, because it was a different group, the pace was relatively the same. But what happened, that group doing 22 might now doing 20 and complaining about the wind. The fact is you're still working significantly harder than you were before. So tailwind, you're going to go faster. I will comment there on the reflexes. Just because you can go faster doesn't mean you should go faster. There's a point where you don't have the agility to react to something based upon your experience level. And headwinds, you're going to be slower, maybe a lot slower. It's okay to try and go faster. It's going to be harder. That's just the way that goes. So the wind absolutely makes a difference. Here in Florida, we get a lot of wind, especially out of the summertime. We always say there are 2 seasons, hot and windy. We are entering that season of windy. So just be prepared. If you want everything to feel the same, you're going to go a lot slower when it's into the wind, but you can go a lot faster when you are going with the wind. And as always, if you're looking for a ride, check us out at nfbc.us. Thanks.